How prepared is anyone at 17 to become a public figure? How ready was Kate Moss when Calvin Klein made her an icon overnight?
The 80s were over, and the 90s, to me, represented something different, something more natural, something less flashy. And Patrick Dumarchier, knowing what I was looking for in print, said this young thing just walked into his studio, took some pictures, and he knew that this is what I...
Picture a tiny London bedsit. The wallpaper's peeling, the floorboards creak. In the middle of it all sits a teenage girl with big hollow eyes and collarbones sharp enough to cast shadows. It's a Calvin Klein shoot, but for some reason, it doesn't look glamorous. The cameras love how breakable she seems. Pale skin, bruised knees, hair hanging limp. She looks like she might blow away in the cold draft, and that was exactly what they wanted. This was Kate Moss, a girl whose bones would become the gold standard of 90s beauty. They called it heroin chic, but for Kate, it was never just a trend. It was the look that fed her and starved her all at once. How did the iconic look that sold a billion-dollar brand become the same one that nearly destroyed her?
I wanted.
For like 2 years, I did like go-sees and worked for no money. I was always borrowing money off my mum. She was beginning to get fed up with it and started telling me to get a job, proper job and stuff like that when I started to work, so it's just as well I kind of stuck at it and didn't take her advice.
Kate Moss grew up in Croydon, a working-class kid from an ordinary house. No designer clothes, no lessons in how to pose. She was just 14 when the wolves came calling, or so it looked later. In reality, she was at JFK Airport with her dad when Sarah Ducas's brother first spotted her. He saw something fragilely different, not the Amazonian supermodel look the world loved back then, more like a stray cat that people couldn't stop staring at. Sarah Ducas, the founder of Storm Modeling Agency, signed her up on the spot. But in London, the editors weren't buying it. She was too short at just 5'6", too skinny in a way that looked accidental, not sculpted. They told her no again and again. So Kate crossed the Atlantic to America, chasing acceptance at just 16 years old.
So many Kates everywhere now.
I know, so common.
So common.
We're here to look at the December issue with Kate Moss.
The roundup of the year.
It is a roundup of the year,
Yes,
and it's always
exactly.
this idea of like doing something sort of special and sort of something that makes it feel a bit more like a collector's item. When we move through into the issue and get to Kate's section, the first story is a story that you collaborated with Mario and Lucinda on, and it was about how do you capture, you know, the incredible style of you.
It's things that people, they've seen me in all these different guises.
Yeah.
So, you know, this and every day with the paparazzi.
And then I love the disco, the Studio 54, that sort of
That's what
animal
I do.
night.
Somehow, Kate became a child dropped straight into an adult world of flashing lights, long nights, and older men telling her how to stand, what to wear, and when to stop eating. Who protects the child when all the world wants is the woman?
You know, when you work, they're there, so... No, sorry. And they write anything about you anyway, even if you don't do anything.
I ran out there and told me. Excuse me, you can't be oh my God.
She was just 15 when she learned how cheap her boundaries really were in other people's eyes. One of her first jobs was a catalog shoot for Brazzers. The photographer told her to take her top off. He said, "If you don't, you won't work again." For someone so young, shy, and freezing under the studio lights, that was too much. She ran out, clutching her shirt, tears smudging her makeup before it even hit the page. It wouldn't be the last time. Even her big break, that iconic shoot for the Face magazine, came with pressure to pose half naked. She later said she was told it was the only way to get booked again. At 15, 16, 17, she was still just a kid. But the industry didn't see her as Kate from Croydon. They saw the product. The child woman with the hollow eyes. The fashion world didn't just sell her image, it sold her innocence, one photo shoot at a time.
I love dressing up. Some of the boys don't like it so much.
No, I think
when
girls love it.
When I tell them there's a theme, they're like, oh no.
Dread it.
I'm so hot. I don't know if I can wear this jumper. Absolutely. Can we read? I had to change. I had to get out of that angle. The jumper is so hot.
A bit itchy.
A bit itchy, yeah. A bit fluffy. I can still feel it.
So now we're looking at your lovely life, your personal life in a way, isn't it?
Lovely life.
Your lovely life. The Playboy costume, so you kept that from the cover
Yeah.
of Playboy, they let you have it?
Yeah,
Amazing.
it's amazing. It's the same woman that's been making them for 60 years or something ridiculous. Like she's been there forever.
It didn't take long for Kate's fragile look to flip the industry upside down. Her big break came with the Face magazine in 1990. The photos were raw and strange. She was barely smiling, ribs showing through thin cotton. She didn't look like the glossy Amazonian models of the ADS. She looked real, frighteningly too real. Pale skin, messy hair, bones that caught the light. And the world fell in love.
Kate has that quality of child woman thing, which touches a nerve with men especially. That's always on the edge a little bit, and you hope to do something that stimulates people, that stimulates their imagination, and that gets noticed.
In 1993, Calvin Klein's obsession campaign made her a global obsession. But behind the billboard, the scene was far from glossy. The famous shots of Kate in bed were taken in her own cheap London flat, which looked more like a student bed-sit than a supermodel's palace. She later said she felt more comfortable there, because that emptiness matched how she felt inside. People called it heroin chic. The sunken cheeks, the glassy eyes, the hollow frame. Designers lined up to book her for exactly that. Meanwhile, Kate popped Valium just to get through the shoots. She was becoming the face of a trend she never asked for and couldn't run from. What happens when your own body becomes a trap you can't escape?
Don't you think modelling is a terrifying process, though? It's like being thrust into the deep end of life. Suddenly your whole universe is happening from every angle. And you've got to cope. It's one of survival. It's a serious test of survival, isn't it?
Yeah, well, travelling on your own and stuff. When you're like 16 or whatever, and moving and living in a different country without all your friends and your family and stuff around, that's kind of difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. Courage.
Courage.
How do you deal with
Takes courage.
How do you deal with your fame and loss of privacy? Is it a huge deal, or do you get along fine with it?
I kind of, the press bothers me.
Press?
Yeah, the tabloids, like the gossip, and people believe it, and often it's never true, and you know, that kind of.
By the mid-90s, heroin chic wasn't just a fashion statement, it was a full-blown controversy. The haunting look that made Kate Moss a household name had crossed a line. Parents were worried. Schools warned kids not to copy the sunken cheeks and bony shoulders. Protesters spray-painted her billboards with words like, "Feed me." It got so loud that even the White House stepped in. In 1997, President Bill Clinton stood in front of reporters and called out the fashion world for glamorizing drug addiction. Vogue's own editors admitted the public just wasn't ready for what Kate represented, a fragile teenage body that looked more ghost than goddess. The rumors swirled. Was she on heroin? Anorexic? She denied it, blaming bad catering on set and endless travel. But one quote sealed her fate. "Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels." She'd later say it came from a friend, just a silly snack time saying. But for the world, it was the slogan of an entire dangerous era. She insisted she wasn't starving, but the look devoured her anyway.
It never occurred to me that anyone would scream about anorexia. I mean, I never thought about it. She is thin, but she's natural. This is who she is, and yes, she's thin, and models should be thin. Their clothes just look better on people who are thin, and certainly photograph better. But there's nothing artificial about her. There's nothing fake.
And that was shortly before Johnny Depp stepped into her life. Some people called them the ultimate it couple, two beautiful rebels with the world at their feet. Kate Moss met Johnny Depp in the early 90s and fell hard. He was wild, magnetic, already a Hollywood legend. She was the soft, haunted waif who made every camera want more. Together, they made headlines just by showing up.
It's being a sex symbol.
I don't think about it.
But you
You're
don't...
a sex symbol.
Hardly.
Kind of.
Hardly.
Don't think about it. Am I a sex symbol?
Probably might be.
No, it could be. I
Could be
suppose.
like, couldn't you?
Maybe.
Maybe like.
Maybe like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Their love was the kind people romanticize in books, but wouldn't wish on their worst enemy. They filled bathtubs with champagne at London's Portobello Hotel. They drifted from room to room at Chateau Marmont in LA. Johnny once bragged they'd made love in every suite. But there was a darker side. Parties bled into blackouts. Fights turned messy.
They are incredibly made.
It's another fancy dress costume
it is.
coming out, I think. No, it's beautiful. It's really nice. Look, trying to look at all your shoes, your lovely car.
La la la.
La la la. And then here we go to the craziest day.
Hilarious.
Wasn't
It was
it?
so much fun. Personalities were amazing.
Yeah.
Weren't they? And then when Beth showed up, she
just
over.
basically took over, gave her the megaphone.
Yeah, poor Tim though. It had that energy that you want, that kind of you want fashion shoes to have.
Yeah, it was.
There wasn't a dull moment.
No, there was not a drop moment. And then this amazing shoot with Bailey, who's like, you know, the godfather.
In September 1994, police found their hotel suite at the Mark Hotel in New York completely trashed. Broken glass, furniture flipped, thousands in damage. Johnny blamed the mess on a rogue armadillo. But the truth was simpler. Their nemesis was always close by. When it ended, Kate said she cried years and years. Johnny later admitted he let work ruin what they had. The only safe place she'd ever known fell apart, and so did she. But not without giving the world one more sultry look to hap onto.
This week, is it hard work as well?
Yeah, it's hard work.
Are you on the catwalk?
Yeah, of course.
Are you going crazy?
I've got to sort of the house. I'm not quite sure yet.
Are you backing some of the young designers coming out for their first catwalk shows?
Yeah.
Who's really been for that?
Matthew Williams, and there's a few more.
Who's designing your job?
This is Coach Riviera.
Did you catch up with all your friends as well? Did you really love
In 2005, Kate Moss's carefully controlled chaos exploded across every UK front page. The Daily Mirror published grainy shots of her bent over a table in Pete Doherty's recording studio, a rolled-up £5 sterling, 0p note in her hand, lines of white powder laid out like dirty confetti. Overnight, the world's most famous waif was suddenly Kate's on crack. The backlash came fast and ruthless. H&M dropped her campaign before it even launched. Chanel and Burberry, brands she'd made millions for, cut her loose within days. Burberry's statement read like a funeral notice, saddened by her circumstances. The British police even opened an official investigation, though no charges stuck.
So this is your first television interview in a long time, and everything I read about you is she prizes her privacy so much. Why is that?
I like to have a life outside of work, and I think it's important for me with my family, and even before that really, I just wanted to keep things to myself.
A difficult mission for any public figure, but especially difficult for Kate Moss, who has spent 30 years in the spotlight, going from rising teenage star to supermodel superstardom.
With the tabloids circling like vultures, Kate fled to France. For once, there were no party shots, no runway walk, just silence. When she finally spoke, it was a short, controlled apology. I have personal issues I need to address. The same brands that made billions off her bones dropped her the moment she broke. Fashion can be a graveyard, but sometimes it lets its ghosts back in. In 2006, Alexander McQueen walked the runway wearing a t-shirt that read, "We love you, Kate." It was a public absolution. Slowly, the brands that once abandoned her reopened their doors. Her agency re-signed her, the shoots resumed, the covers returned, just because of one bold t-shirt. But the cracks stayed. In 2015, she was escorted off a flight for being disruptive. When she joked at a Diet Coke event, "I always loved Coke," people winced at the reminder.
I've watched Kate, and I've watched this thing happen with Kate Moss. It became especially obvious to me how quickly a star is born.
Now Kate Moss is 50. She says the party days are gone. Early nights, more water, less coffee, cutting back on cigarettes. She runs her own agency now and even signed her daughter, Lila. The girl who was once the child in the wolf's den is trying to raise her own daughter better. She calls Lila her anchor, the only thing that keeps her steady. But the whispers don't stop. In 2022, she slurred her words during a Wall Street Journal speech. In 2024, a clip of her stumbling through a hotel lobby made headlines again.
Hi, Keys.
People still watch, half hoping she'll slip. And maybe rightly so, because looking at this photo taken a year ago, it reveals something shocking about her appearance. Maybe they will always be people watching closely. Although she's a mother now, a boss, an icon, the child woman image that built an empire never really left her side. Heroine chic wasn't just a phase. It was a generation's open wound. Kate Moss says she's not that girl anymore, but the image is immortal. Her bones sold billions, and millions still chase the look she never meant to sell. In the end, Kate Moss rose, fell, and rose again, a ghost in designer clothes that never quite stopped haunting itself. We think about how far Kate Moss has come in showbiz. She turned her bones into gold, but who pays the price when the bones are gone? Kindly let us know your thoughts in the comments, and please like and subscribe.